guys, so today I'm going to be telling you a few things that I would do differently if I could relive my wedding day and do it over again. Now I know it's super cliche to say that there's nothing I would change about my wedding day and it was perfect, and that's honestly how I feel. Like, I feel like if you've ever been married before, your wedding day is exactly what it's supposed to be, and at the end of the day, as long as you're married to the love of your life, that's all that matters. Our wedding day was perfect, and as a perfectionist, I'm gonna fucking stab. Our wedding day was perfect, and as a perfectionist, it is so hard to plan the biggest, best, most important day of your life and not also stress about any little thing going wrong. But here are some things that I would have done differently if I could go back in time. The first thing I would have done differently is got married earlier. So yeah, I would love to have gotten married earlier than waiting 10 years, but I mean get married earlier in the day. We got married at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, which I feel like is a super common time just from talking to other brides. But honestly, I wish that we would have gotten married earlier in the day. So originally we had discussed 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock, and we ended up going with 4 o'clock. And I really wish that we would have gone with 3 or even 2 o'clock, just so that way we had more time throughout our wedding to spend with family and friends. So everything being jam-packed at 4 o'clock, it was super hard to get all of our pictures done and get all the activities done and still have time for guests. Especially for us because we got married on a Tuesday, so a lot of our guests left at 9 o'clock. So by the time we were done finishing up all of our activities and photos, a lot of our guests had left. So if we didn't stop and see them just randomly throughout the day, we didn't get to see them at all. The second thing that I would do differently is to have my mom as my matron of honor. So I know if she ever watches this video, she's going to cry, but I wish so badly that I would have had two. So not in place of my maid of honor, my best friend, but in addition to. So instead of just having one person, I wish I would have also had her. And we strongly thought about it and we're so close to doing it, but we didn't want our numbers to be uneven because he was just having his dad as his best man. And I wish that I would have just done it and had it be uneven because my mom is my best friend as well. And I mean, I know it would have meant a lot to her, and it also would have meant a lot to me. With that being said, I did have my mom dress very similar to my maid of honor, so that way she would have been able to play both parts had we had decided to go that way. The third thing I would have done differently is skipped the cake altogether. So cake is just not something that Devin and I are crazy about. We're not cake people. We never have been cake people. And I mean, it was really cool because we had a bunch of cake pops made, and there's 4 different flavors, and my dad made us these beautiful custom stands, and it looked really awesome. But we got stuck with so many cake pops and we got stuck with our cake, and honestly we're just not into it, so we could have gone without all the cake, and I wish instead we would have just done a brownie or something simple for the 2 of us and then just had cookies or something for the guests. So fourth thing that I would have done differently, and also a really big piece of advice that I have for brides, is when you run into a family member or friend that you want a photo with, take it right then and there. I had thought after we got married and we're going through getting our food and stuff that I would have this time in between doing everything else to go and hang out with family and get extra pictures done. Yeah, that did not happen at all. It was just so on a timeline, which was fine, but I wish that I would have just taken a second when I was talking to those people to get a photo with them then and there. Big piece of advice: when you see someone, if you want a photo with them, do it right then and there, because if you think that you're going to come back around to them, that might not actually happen, and then at the end of the day, you're upset because you never got a photo with them. The fifth thing that I would have done differently at our wedding is hired someone else to do our linens. So instead of renting linens, I bought all of our linens, and I don't regret that, but getting all of your linens pressed is really expensive, and the person that, or I should say company, the company that we went with was very unprofessional, and I should have went with my gut feeling the first time I met with them. and when they delivered our linens, it looked literally like they just pulled the linens out of the packages and threw it on a hanger. Like, they weren't nice and pressed, like there was still bumps, I could still see the creases where everything was folded. Getting them pressed is very expensive, it's a lot of money, and I just wish that we would have gone with someone else so that they would have looked a little bit nicer at our wedding. And the sixth thing that I would have done differently, I don't regret anything about our wedding, but one thing that, if honestly I could do one thing differently, it would be this. Like I said, I am a huge perfectionist. Like, I always strive for everything to be perfect. I'm very much like detail oriented. I'm very organized. I have lists for everything. I literally had like 30 lists that I sent to my vendors. But I let myself get upset over like some really dumb things at our wedding, and I wish that I wouldn't have spent any second of that day being upset or angry about anything, because it really didn't matter. I know in that moment it feels like it's ruining your day and it's a big deal, but when you look at the big picture, it really didn't matter. One thing that happened with us is that when we were waiting to get announced into a reception, they were having some technical difficulties before they were able to announce us with the music. So we're sitting on the bridge waiting to get announced, and we were staying there for what felt like an eternity. So we had just finished up some family photos and some photos of just Devin and I, and you know, things were going great, we're all on time, and we're standing on the bridge and waiting and waiting and waiting to be called. And it was probably like 5 minutes at the grand scheme of things, but it literally took like forever, and I was just so upset that we were like wasting time. And looking back, I wish I wouldn't have got upset about it, because that's time that I had with Devin to enjoy like the moment. Like, instead of worrying about, okay, well we might be a couple minutes off the schedule because of it, I could have just enjoyed being in those moments with Devin, and I really, really wish that I wouldn't have done that. There's some things that weren't placed in the exact spot that they should have been, which again, if you're not a perfectionist, I know you're going to be like, well, why does it matter? If you're a perfectionist, you're going to understand this, but I try to have like a list of exactly how everything was supposed to look and where everything was supposed to go, and there were some things that weren't in the exact spot, and I just wish I wouldn't let any little thing bother me. Our day went so well, and I'm so grateful for how good everything genuinely went, that there's zero reason to be upset. So don't waste any part of your day being upset, and don't let anything ruin it. No matter what it is, don't let anything ruin it. Enjoy every second, because it genuinely does go by so fast. And I so wish that I could relive that day over and over and over again, and it just like breaks my heart that I can't. So don't do what I did and just roll with the flow. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Those are the 6 things that I would do differently if I could go back and relive our wedding day. Like I said, overall it was a perfect day. At the end of the day, I got to marry the love of my life, and that's all really that matters. So if you want to see more wedding videos, anything specific that you want to see, please let me know. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. If there's any specific wedding related videos that you guys want me to make, please let me know in the comments so that I can make them for you. As always, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye guys!